India and South India, the children you work with, the people you work with, what their lives are about and how they gain contentment. Maybe put that in perspective for all of us here who are lucky enough to have different situations.
About South India, I didn't get that, I'm sorry.
When you're working with the people of South India, the children, the families who have very little, but they can still achieve the contentment and satisfaction.
Oh. See, contentment is the aspiration of a joyless human being. When you make yourself incapable of joy, then you seek contentment and satisfaction and these kind of things. When you're joyful, these things mean nothing to you, isn't it so? On a day when you're joyful, are you seeking contentment on that day? Only when you're miserable, you're looking for contentment because contentment is containment. Contentment means, okay, I've made it. From what basis are you coming to this? Maybe you're one step ahead of somebody else. I'm saying, why are we even bothered about being one step ahead of somebody else or one step behind? Because if you look at life this way, how to be ahead of somebody, if you have limb by your side, one step ahead of them, you think you're doing great. Life is not about being ahead of somebody. Life is about finding full expression to who we are. Everything that I am should find expression. I am little better than somebody, what does it mean? It means nothing. So, most people who seek contentment are always hoping that everybody will be one step behind them. Or in other words, you start enjoying what others don't have, or you start enjoying a lesser man's failings, which is… I call it sickness, I don't call it contentment. But unfortunately, a whole lot of people are seeking that. People are beginning to enjoy what others do not have, not what they have. They enjoy what somebody doesn't have, which is a very sick world, which has caused enormous damage to this world, both as a humanity and ecologically it's a serious cost. Everybody trying to be one step ahead of somebody else. I think India is still rapidly moving out of that place and becoming more west than west, okay rapidly moving out, but still a large percentage of the population is… I think it is a remnant of the cultural past that naturally methods were… there were so many methods as a woven into our lifestyle which made people naturally peaceful and joyful by their own nature. So instead of seeking contentment, or as it's written in the constitution of this country, in pursuit of your happiness, happiness cannot be pursued because it's not hanging out somewhere. It is something that may happen within you if you create a conducive atmosphere for yourself. Nobody experienced happiness out there, or nobody experienced misery out there. Joy or misery happens within us. Pain and pleasure happens within us. Even light and darkness is happening within us. Everything that you ever know happens only within you. Even right now, you sit there and you think you're looking at me, but actually light is falling upon me, reflecting, inverted image in the retina and da-da-da, you know the whole story, all right? So what you see is within you, what you hear is within you, whatever has ever happened to you has happened only within you. So, if you're joyful by your own nature, your life will become an expression of joy. Then everything happens in a certain way, then you will not look for contentment or satisfaction. By the time you satisfy all these human beings, I think the entire solar system will be finished, not just the planet because the living Earth statistics tells us today that If we have to provide for the entire 7.3 billion population on the planet what an average American person has, it takes 4.5 planets. But there aren't any 4.5, only half we have. Half a planet is what we have, there is no 4.5 planets. So this entire thing about more, the entire modern business has become about more and more, but there is no more. So I think the future leaders should look at how to maximize what is there, not about more, because there is no more. There was a time when people thought there is more somewhere. You could go to another continent and get what you want, you could go to another place and get what you want. Now we've been everywhere and we know there is no more. Leadership, true leadership of the future is about maximizing what is there. There is no more.
And the things that has entered all of our society is the ability for these 7 billion people to communicate, to interact, to see other parts of the world through that little thing called the iPhone. Tell me what's…
We use Samsung, huh?
Samsung. I do worry that we're all living our lives through our iPhones and our Samsung Galaxies as opposed to more fundamentally. What's some of your observations on what technology both has brought us and what we need to guard against?
So technology is a wonderful thing, but it's a mindless thing. It depends in whose hands it is right now. Either we can use technology to make our lives or to destroy our lives. So, we should know this, we made the technology and we should also learn how to use it. The reason why technology is running away with people, people are not running away with technology. Technology is running away with people because, as I said earlier, our education systems have nothing in it, right from kindergarten to whatever level you study. There is nothing about the making of this being. It's all about fixing the world. So, because of that, our children are getting totally outwardly focused. There is no sense of anything about this. As you said, 25 to 50, when they start getting older and when their joints creak and they know they're mortal, that is when they're coming to little bit of sense. But I think sense would be very useful early in our life, not later. What do you think? We could do well with sense when we're young. Right now, we've come to a conclusion, youth means stupid, old age means wisdom. No, youth must become wise. Then only there is a future for this world.
And what's some of the things that the youth can do to look inside, to understand this one?
See, when we say turn inward, in the Western context, people always think in terms of contemplation. Contemplation is not inward, it is just, it's an intellectual circus because you contemplate only what you already have. Whatever thought process we have is only coming from a limited data that we have gathered. And that limited data we have gathered through what we call as the 5 sense organs, by seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting and touching. This is the way all the information has gone in. And this information is not reliable because, well, there are many ways to put this. If I touch this glass, it feels cool to me. Not because I know how it is, simply because in comparison with my body temperature, it feels cool to me. If my body temperature really drops and then I touch it, this would feel warm to me. Or in other words, you know everything only by comparison. What you know by comparison is not knowing, it's a distortion of reality. Like for example, you're 6 feet tall. Now you walk like a tall man, you think like a tall man, you feel like a tall man, you are a tall man. You went to another society where everybody is 8 feet tall. Suddenly you walk like a short man, think like a short man, feel like a short man, and you're a short man. So what you know by comparison is not really knowing as such. You can go even more fundamental. Well, you have owls in Pennsylvania? In Philadelphia, rather?
What?
Owl, the bird?
Owl, sure.
Yeah. If you and an owl sit together and start an argument as to which is light and which is darkness, where would you go? Endless argument. I'm asking who is right, you or the owl? I said youth should be wiser, you must tell me. Who is right? Both? I can't say this in a university, but usually both is said by people who are serving in the diplomatic corps or those who have a successful marriage. Both, otherwise they won't survive. But the fact of the matter is, either both of us could be wrong or one of us could be wrong, both of us cannot be right. It is just that our sense organs have been opened up as it is necessary for our survival and nothing more than that. So turning inward needs more than sense perception. As I said, I repeat once again, unfortunately, because this is one thing that bothers me, unfortunately, in the entire scheme of education, there is not a thing about how to turn inward. It's all about reading information from the book and thinking we know it. With this kind of knowledge, well, it's the educated people on the planet who destroyed this planet, isn't it? The uneducated doesn't cause so much damage. Ever since this education prevailed, since then, we have destroyed the planet like never before. We do patchy work, we'll drive a Tesla, all right, but
And I know that you sit often with, don't want to sound morbid here, but with folks on their deathbed, and you learn a lot from that.
hey, you're accusing me of things now.
What are some of the lessons that you've learned that we could all take away?
Mortality is the most obvious thing in our life. We don't know whether you're going to get a university degree or not. We don't know whether you're going to be the richest man on the planet or not. But we know one thing, you're gonna die, okay? That much we know. But it's amazing that more than 85% of the people have no idea that they will die till their very last few days come. It's quite ridiculous, but that's a reality. And you will be surprised that I would say over 85% of the people, the last moments, they look bewildered. They're not fearful, they're not in pain, they look bewildered because they never even started their life yet. All that's happened in their life is their thought and emotion. Your thought and emotion is just a psychological drama that you're going through. No experience of life has really happened. Very few moments they've touched life. Rest of the time, they're just busy with their own thoughts and their own emotions. Your thoughts and emotions mean nothing, actually. But right now, it is larger than the cosmos. Yes? Today, everything is going perfect in the cosmos. No accidents, no galaxies clashed, no star wars happened, all right? Everything is going great. But one nasty little thought in your head, it's a bad day. So somewhere, your psychological drama has become bigger than the cosmic happening. Once you lose perspective on this scale, then living well is an accident.
So more on joy. Because when I see you on your motorcycle, on a speedboat, swinging a golf club, I see joy. So tell me more on joy. Let's end on joy, and then I'm going to give you the stage, and we can open it up to questions.
There are many ways to look at this. One simple way to look at this is, all human experience has a chemical basis to it. What you call as peace is a certain kind of chemistry, what you call as joy is another kind of chemistry, what is bliss is another kind of chemistry, ecstasy is one kind of chemistry, agony is another, misery is another, anxiety is another, stress is another, whatever. Every human experience has a chemical basis. Or in other words, what you call as myself on one level, experientially, is a chemical soup. The question is only, is it a great soup or a lousy soup? Suppose I give soup-making ingredients to every one of you, do you believe that all of you will make the same kind of soup? Each one will turn out your own kind of soup, though the ingredients are same. That's all that's happened. All of us have fundamentally same ingredients. See how different each one has become. Because the soup-making skill, it's a delicate skill. If you create a chemistry of blissfulness, you will be blissful. Because right now people are thinking situations are either happy or unhappy. Situations are not happy or unhappy. Situations are neither problematic nor beautiful. They're just there. It's for us what we make out of it. If you may label it as a problem, it becomes a problem. If you simply look at it, it's always a possibility. This is not about being optimistic, this is just realistic. There is no situation on the planet which is marked a problem, isn't it? It's only in your mind you mark it as a problem. Whatever you don't know how to handle, it'll become a problem. What is a problem for you may be a breeze for somebody else. So, this process of constantly labeling as okay, not okay, I like this, I don't like this is where the problem is. There is no equanimity in the mind. It is sloshing crazy. Every situation is sloshing the mind in so many different ways. The fundamental problem, you can say, is evolutionary in nature. You know Charles Darwin? You guys studied some science, right? Not all business. Charles Darwin said, you were all monkeys, he said, not me. You were all monkeys and then you became human. He also went about saying what was supposedly a deer, supposed to have become a giraffe over a few million years, what was a pig became an elephant, things like this, took millions of years. But for the monkey to become human, it happened rather quickly. So quickly that anthropologists think there is a missing link somewhere. So this rapid transition from a monkey to man has caused some problems. According to science today, they are saying the DNA difference between a chimpanzee and a human being is only 1.23%. 1.23% is not much of a difference, isn't it? Physiologically, that's how close you are to a chimpanzee. But in terms of intellect, in terms of awareness, a human being is worlds apart from a chimpanzee. Or in other words, you have an intelligence for which you don't have a stable enough platform. Now, when was the last time somebody poked you with a dagger? They never did it. They ignored you. I'm saying, how much suffering in a human being is coming from outside? Minuscule. Rest is all on self-help, isn't it? That is your own intelligence turning against you. You can call it stress, you can call it anxiety, you can call it fear, you can call it misery, you can call it whatever exotic names you want. Essentially, it's your intelligence turning against you. That's all that's happened. Because you have an intelligence for which you don't have a stable enough platform. So the entire yogic system, the fundamental nature of yoga is to create a stable platform. I know if I use the word yoga in America, it means twisting yourself like a pretzel. That's not what yoga is about, unfortunately. Only the physical aspect, which is out of 200 and odd sutras that Patanjali gave, only one sutra is about physical aspect of yoga. Unfortunately, in America, that one is being blown out of proportion.
We have about 20 minutes. I'm going to leave you with the future to chat, to answer questions, and use up the rest of the 20 minutes. Good. The stage is yours.
Yeah?
So does getting a formal education, like we get it here, have any value to the internal well-being?
I think the formal education is oriented towards a particular subject, maybe here business, as it is. You could use everything for your inner well-being, but the fundamental orientation has not been done, I would say, right from primary education. The society itself is not oriented that way. Entire society here and now slowly in the rest of the world is becoming such. Well-being means, what are the 10 things I must have in my life? People have those 10 things and you still see them miserable. You see people driving their dream machines. You just stop the traffic for 5 minutes, people will be fretting in their dream machines. They're not happy that they can spend extra 5 minutes in their dream machine. They're just fretting. They're on the edge of bursting at each other. This is not because of situations. Situations are better than ever before. I want you to understand, as young people, as a generation of people, never before in the history of humanity have we known these kind of comforts and conveniences as you people are enjoying right now. Never before, yes? But never before humanity has complained as it's complaining today. We are becoming such a whining generation of people though everything has become easy, we don't have to physically work for anything for that matter, yes? Everything comes, if you turn on a switch, everything comes. I want you to look back 200 years ago, if you wanted water, you had to carry something and come. If you wanted food, you had to go out and get it. Now everything comes, you just have to order it on your phone. In spite of that, we're complaining. No, the future generations, the young people here, you should see that we are having physically the best possible life that human beings ever had. Now, making it good for ourselves and everybody around us should be our commitment, experientially good. That will not happen unless we turn inward and we know how to manage this one. Above all, those of you wanting to become leaders, you must understand, being a leader means in some way you have to manage 1,000 or 10,000 minds. If you cannot manage your own mind, how will you manage 10,000 minds? It'll be a disaster.
Do you think some professions are more meaningful than others? And if we are like in finance or art, should we eventually evolve into helping others or doing?
Can I tell you something that happened a couple of years ago? A young boy, a 12-year-old boy who was studying in one of our schools, wrote a letter to me. He's just 12 years of age. He wrote a 2-page letter to me. I was amazed at the clarity with which he wrote. I had never seen a 12-year-old boy writing that kind of a letter. It was too mature and clear and beautifully articulated. So I thought, who is this fellow? I want to see him. So in India, it's very rare for people to get an appointment with me because my schedule is 20 hours a day, it's fixed up 7 days of the week. So I gave an appointment to this boy. So he came and said, I don't want to end up like my parents, just doing this and that, working for a living. I said, hold it. It's fine, you want to do something different is fine. But the moment you look down upon something, you will not do anything significant in your life. So I told him a simple thing. We have a center where nearly 4,000 people are living, and every day we have at least 5 to 10,000 people coming as guests and going. So I told him, see, tomorrow morning, if I close the meditation hall, everybody comes, morning sadhana starts at 5:30 in the morning there. I said, when they come for the meditation hall, if I lock it and keep it without any explanation, and if people just say, Sadhguru has locked it, everybody will think, oh, there must be a higher purpose, let's wait. All right. They will wait. 1 day, 2 days, 10 days, they will wait, thinking something bigger is coming. But if I lock the dining hall, 10 o'clock is our meal in the morning. Suppose I close the dining hall and the word is spread, Sadhguru locked the door of the dining hall. People will think maybe today evening a feast is coming and they will wait at least till evening. But if I lock up the toilets in the morning, people will freak within 5 minutes. So I asked him, which is more important, meditation, food or shit? So don't ever look up at something or look down on something. This is a simple thing you have to learn. There is nothing to look up to, there is nothing to look down upon. If this one thing you learn, never look up at anybody, never look down on anybody. If you simply learn to see everything for what it is, in every sphere of life we can do something significant.
So, what do you think? Like, how do you react to certain situations? What's the first thought that goes through your mind when, like, something you really wanted to happen didn't? Or what do you think when you meet a new person?
I think when I was introduced, Jonathan was saying I was raised. I always felt only cattle are raised. Human beings should not be raised by anybody. The thing about being human is, it's a very common word that people are using. I was raised, people say I was raised Catholic, I was raised Muslim, I was raised this or that. Nobody should raise you. That's what human means. A human means you can consciously shape yourself. If you're consciously shaping yourself, where is the question of reacting to anything? You can respond as according to your intelligence and your inclinations of the day. But the moment you react, you're enslaved to the situations in which you live. So when something doesn't go your way, see, you must understand, I'm in charge of a foundation, which is nearly 4,000 full-time volunteers and over 3 million part-time volunteers doing variety of work. Volunteers means none of them are qualified for the job. There is enthusiasm, but there is no qualification. And you can't fire them because they're volunteers. And at any moment, without a warning, without notice, they may drop the job that they're doing and walk away. In spite of that, I must tell you, as we sit here today, there are a few hundred programs, inner engineering programs going on in the world. In the last 34 years, not a single program has been abandoned, left unfinished. That's a lot of management, isn't it? Because the entire process is about keeping people in an inspired state, that they will hold what they're doing more important in their life and make it happen. Does it mean to say everything is happening the way I want it? No. If at all, if anybody has to go crazy on this planet, it's me. Because there are too many things. People keep telling me, Sadhguru, you're starting this one more project. If it doesn't happen, what to do? If something does not happen, or if nothing happens, if everything that I'm doing fails tomorrow morning, I will still live blissfully and die blissfully. So this is one thing that you must ascertain within yourself. Your way of being is not determined by what is happening around you. What happens within you must be determined by you. What happens around you, there are too many forces involved, isn't it? When we want to do something in the world, there are too many forces which have to cooperate. Not all of them may cooperate. Never all of them will cooperate 100%. Nobody around you will happen 100% your way. You're still a young girl. I'm telling you, if you have large expectations of people, no one, not one single person in your life will happen 100% your way. 51% if they happen your way, you have controlling stake on the whole situation. But this one person must happen your way, isn't it, 100%? If this person is happening your way, how do you keep that person? Blissful or miserable? That's all. You keep this blissful, then in every situation you'll do your best, and that's all you can do. Just because you freak and fret, nothing happens better. So what is the first thought? The thing about me is, most of the time I don't have a single thought on my mind. I'm just empty-headed. Just to make it look substantial, I wear a turban. I don't have a single thought on my mind most of the time. When I want to think, I sit down and think. But otherwise, I don't have thoughts flying in my mind. This is a simple thing you have to do. The moment you're not identified with anything that you're not, when I say anything that you're not, right now, the water in this glass, is this you? If you drink it, will it become you? No? If you drink this, will it become you or not? How did you get this body, Were you born like this? Your normal birth or no? No, a few people fell from heaven, that's why I'm asking you. If you were normal birth, you were only this much, now you became this much. How? Just the food that you've eaten and the water that you consumed, isn't it? So if you drink this, it becomes you?
Yes, but no. Yes, because it definitely helps.
How is it yes but no?
Yes, because it definitely helps in keeping me alive and making me who I am.
No, not that. What is the content of your body? Do you know 2/3 of your body is just water?
Yes, but it's not necessarily that water.
Where did it come from then?
I mean, you drink water every day.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, and also you go to the restroom every day, so the water, that water isn't going to be part of…
Some part of the water is retained and that's what is you, right now? So I'm asking, okay, 1/3 of this water becomes you, all right? I didn't know you were trying to be that specific. The food that you eat and the water that you drink has become you, isn't it? So what has happened right now is, what you accumulate has become you. You tell me, what you accumulate can be yours, but can never ever be you, isn't it? Right now, as I speak, if I pick up this and say, this is my glass, you will think Sadhguru's got some problem. But everybody says he's wise, let's listen some more. After some time I say, this is me, then you'll say, let's go. Yes or no? Because this is a clear case of insanity. The moment you believe something that is not you as yourself, even medically you qualify. Yes, but that's what has happened. The food appears on your plate, you say, this is my food, then you eat it and then you say, this is me. This is the heap of food that we have gathered has become you. The heap of information that you gathered has become you. The moment you identify with something that's not you, then your mind is ceaseless activity. Ceaseless activity does not mean intelligence. Ceaseless activity or uncontrolled activity means madness. Only satisfaction or only little bit of relief that you may have is everybody around you is in the same state. This mind is truly useful. This hand is useful only because it takes instructions from me. If I want it to go, it goes. If I want it to stop, it stops. The same is true with the mind, isn't it? I'm asking you, does it take instructions from you? If it took instructions from you, I'm sure you would choose to keep yourself blissful every moment of your life. Whatever your intentions may be for the neighbor, but for yourself, it's very clear you want highest level of pleasantness, yes? If you had a choice between blissfulness and stressfulness, what would you choose for yourself? You must make a choice, I'll bless you. What would you choose for yourself? Pleasantness, isn't it? When we say pleasantness, it's just this. If the body becomes pleasant, we call this health. Becomes very pleasant, we call it pleasure. If the mind becomes pleasant, we call it peace. Becomes very pleasant, we call it joy. If our emotions become pleasant, we call it love. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it compassion. If our very life energies become pleasant, we call it blissfulness. Becomes very pleasant, we call it ecstasy. If your surroundings become pleasant, we call it success. Only for success, you need the cooperation of various forces around you. For the remaining four, the first four levels of pleasantness of body, mind, emotion and energy is just you. If you take charge of this will be pleasant. Outside, well, it's a question of skill. Not everybody can create external pleasantness because you will have to harness many forces. Yes, please.
Is your message, your essential message about life and how to change your life and how to improve your life different in different places? Do you go to Beverly Hills and see a different need than you see
in a tribal village in India? No, not at all. They would like to think they're different, but they're not. They just complicate simple things. If I go to a tribal village, directly those ladies will just come and tell me what's their problem. If I come to Beverly Hills, they go round and round and round, take 3 days to tell me what's the problem.
welcome to my hood, Sadhguru. And how do you… because I think that this is actually something that all of us do struggle with, this compulsiveness, this inability to let go of things that we know on some level we should be able to let go of. How do you advise us or help us to let go of those things that we know are almost haunting us sometimes?
So let us understand the fundamentals of compulsiveness, where it comes from. See, everything that's physical in this universe, from a single atom to the cosmic nature of things, everything that's physical is naturally in cyclical motion. In atom, things going around. In the cosmos, it's going around, solar system is going around. Our own bodies are cycles. We are born out of the cycles of our mother's bodies. So, the moment you're identified with the physicality of who you are cyclical in nature. What is cyclical is compulsive. What is cyclical has taken a compulsive pattern. It has to do the same things again and again. You try as hard as you want, it will not go. You will give up one and hang on to another. I hope with the Jewish rabbi a joke is allowed.
A Jewish rabbi, actually, a joke is mandatory.
Yes,
so.
okay, that's good. This happened. It once happened that Shankaran Pillai was working in an office and his office colleague asked for a lift, a woman, a young woman. So he took her in the car and he was driving, and suddenly he became like an octopus, that his limbs were all over her. So she pushed him away and said, "You fool, I thought you were a decent fellow. What are you trying to do?" He said, "I'm sorry, I gave up smoking." So, if you try to beat compulsiveness with force, you will switch from one cycle to another cycle to another cycle. Keeps happening. Fundamental thing is this, you are so strongly identified with your own physical nature, inevitably you will be cyclical, do whatever you want. So this is why what spiritual means is that your experience of life becomes… something within you becomes larger than your physicality. Physicality includes your thought and emotion. This is…
Yes, no, I mean, what I was going to say, two things. First of all, I think when people talk about whether they're religious or not religious, I actually don't believe that's the distinction. The distinction between people are materialists and non-materialists. That is, those who believe that non-material things are real and spiritual realities are real. And the reason that I bring this up in part is because I know that one of the things we had talked about addressing is the question of mysticism. And it seems to me that both our traditions share a belief that the world that you can see and touch and feel is not all there is. And just now, as I understood you, you were appealing to the non-physical parts of ourselves as a sort of antidote to the over-reliance on the physical part of cyclical compulsiveness.
See, it's not a question of…
Just say yes to one of my questions. Tell me right, you got it right, Rabbi. I'm working here.
Yes, but… Yes, but the thing is, it's not something that we have to believe in. See, none of us were born like this as we are. We came like this, we became like this. This is just accumulation of the food that we've eaten, or it's just a piece of the planet. Most people don't get this point till you bury them. Even that in Los Angeles I feel is difficult because I heard they're being buried in a concrete vault. So even in burial, you will still not know that you're part of the earth. So this is something that you gathered. Anything that you gather, at the most you can claim is yours. You cannot claim it's me. I can say, this glass of water is my glass of water. But if I say this is me, you know that I'm a case. You know for sure. So if you say this is my body, yes, it is right now, till we bury you. But if you say this is me, you're a case. Your only comfort is everybody around you is a case. This is how it is in an asylum. The only nutcase is the doctor.
How do you shift that perspective, though? How do you learn to see yourself as continuous with everyone and everything?
See, it's like this. I'm agreeing with that.
We're good.
See, this is my body, that's your body, distinctly separate, at least right now. Till both of us are buried. Till then, this is my body, that's your body, very clear. This is my mind and that's your mind, very clear. But there is no such thing as my life and your life. There's no such thing. This is like, I'm sure at some stage in your life, when you were in school at least, you blew some soap bubbles, huh? So that's my bubble, this is your bubble. Poop, it goes. There is no such thing as this is my air and this is your air. This is a living cosmos. You captured some, I captured some. How significant a life you become. When I say significance, not how significant you are in the society or in the world. It's not about that. As a life you become significant because you have captured that much of life which overwhelms the puniness of your own mind and physical body. Within you, the life that you've captured is a larger dimension than the body that you have gathered and the information that you have gathered in the form of your mind. When the life that you are is bigger than your mind and your body, no teaching is needed. You're simply conscious about that, that's all. It's not that you believe that, that's a living reality for you. So my whole work is to bring people to a dimension of experience where the life that they are is larger than the mind that they are. Life that they are is larger than the body that they are. So you don't have to give a teaching or a kind of a belief system. Naturally, what is most dominant becomes you, within you.
And the way that you bring people to that dimension of being or dimension of existence is…
See, as there is a science and technology for external well-being, there is a whole science and technology for inner well-being. The problem that happens in every tradition is, over a period of time, generation after generation, it gathers moss. So much frill it gathered, nobody knows where the skirt is.
There was a French Catholic writer, Charles Piguet, who said everything begins in mysticism and ends in politics. And I think that in religious traditions, that's exactly…
Yes.
There's a great deal of truth to that. So how do you scrape the barnacles off the boat or the moss off the tradition and identify that kernel which can actually expand people's sense of what they are a part of, but what they are only a small part of?
I think I came with a huge advantage that I'm completely uneducated, refuse to be educated. Why I'm saying this is, it is not easy to remain uneducated. Because from the moment you're born, the moment somebody sees a child, all the adults want to pounce upon the child, wanting to teach something that's not worked in their life. Parents, teachers, every kind of people. The moment they see a child, they want to teach the child something. It's very clear. When you look at the child, the exuberance and the joy that the child has and the adults are the way they are, obviously it's not worked for them, whatever they know. But they want to teach it to the child. So I refused this one influence on me. I just remained as I was, uninfluenced by parents, teachers, society, religion around me, politics around me. I kept myself away from that. If you keep yourself away from identifying yourself with just about anything around you, anything, including your genetics, your society, religion, politics, economics, whatever is happening around you, if you're not identified with anything, it is natural for human intelligence to find its way. Nobody has to teach anybody anything. If you just make sure children don't get identified with you, hello? That you don't want that, you want them identified with you. Because it's your legacy, it's not a new life. It's your legacy, you want to live after you're dead. You want them to be just like you in so many different ways. If you don't have this problem, if you leave them alone, just nurture them so that they're not influenced by anything, you will see the world will be full of mystics.
I'm not persuaded. First of all, okay, there are three things that you said that I'm not completely persuaded of. One is that you never learned anything. When you say you're uneducated, you spoke a language, you knew your neighborhood that you lived in, You learned how to eat and what foods to make. You learned lots of things from the people around you. There's no way you could have survived had you not learned. That's one. Wait, I'm not done. Number two, I want you to know that when I had a child, I didn't want to teach her the ways that I was that didn't work for me. I rather wanted to teach her the joy that I found in the world and the beauty. And I teach her poetry and I teach her wonder. And I think a lot of what I teach her expands her. I'm sure I've taught her some things that she would say, gee, I wish you hadn't taught me that. But I really do believe that most parents want to teach their children not the things that didn't work for them, but rather the things that they found in the world that are extraordinary and wonderful.
No, I did not mean didn't work in that sense. See, the only thing about the adults or the parents is, the only qualification you have is you landed here a few years earlier, yes. All right? Nothing else. Hello? Yes. Isn't that so? Yes. You just came here a little early. Yep. So what do you know? You know a few survival tricks that the child does not know. If you want to teach them business, you want to teach them how to survive in the world, fine, you know better than them, of course. But as life, the reason why everybody loves a child is because child is a better life than the adult. In every way. Just as life, maybe he doesn't have your intellect, maybe he's not accumulated the nonsense that you've accumulated, maybe he does not know how to survive in the world, but as a life, he is far more exuberant and alive than you are. That is why it doesn't matter whose child, when you see a child, you light up, because it's life. Even the grave-faced people get ignited. All right?
You know?
So, when I say teaching children something that did not work in their life, it is not that your survival tricks did not work, obviously they worked for you, that's what you want to teach, because you're concerned about the child's survival, all right? You're concerned, what will happen to him, this is the only thing. See, when people have children, they only have moments of joy, rest of the time it's only anxiety, what will happen, what will happen, what will happen. Yes, because it's all about survival. So if you even… I'm trying to look at this comprehensively, even if you just examine the prayers on the planet, this says everything about the adults. 95% of the prayers on the planet are just about, dear God, give me this, give me that, save me, protect me. Does it sound like survival or divine expansion? Maybe only 5% is there. 95% is only save me, protect me, give me this, give me that, isn't it? This is all survival process, outsourced.
Well, yeah, I admit that you are the first person that I know who preaches a desire to uneducate people. And I understand what you're saying, that there is a pure life to a baby, but I don't believe that pure lifedness can exist in an adult the same way it does in a child. I said the same way that it does in a child. No, look, you're a man, in all seriousness, you're a man who has political savvy, you've written books, you travel and speak. There is a certain sophistication to your lack of sophistication that I think is quite right. That seems to be pretty clear. I'm not suggesting, oh, you're just like everybody else. But I also think that maybe you are overplaying the extent to which civilization is a bad idea.
No.
I think it's usually a pretty good idea, often.
No. Civilization is organization of basic human intent, just an organized structure. But organization can also get suffocating for the growth…
No question.
of an individual life. Yes. When you are 5 years of age, let's say, when all of you were 5 years of age, how joyful, exuberant and alive you were, and how you are today, though for all of you I can see life has worked out very well, better than you would have imagined for many of you. In spite of that, compared to how you were 5 years of age and today how you are, has it gone down or not? See, I want you to understand, with age, only physical agility can go down. Aliveness need not go down. Hello? So are you trying to die in installments? That's all I'm asking you.
It seemed foolish to do it all at once, so I thought I would do it gradually over time. But what I would say is, also, I'm not sure that I would privilege aliveness over everything else, because I might be less alive than I was when I was 5 years old. But I wouldn't go back to being 5, because I have so much now that I did not have as a 5-year-old, and some of it, like sad memories, ways in which I've hurt other people, ways in which I've hurt myself, some of it is stuff that may diminish my life, but I also think has made me wiser, broader, more empathetic, more sympathetic, deeper, all of those things. So I don't see this as a one-way street.
See, essentially, you are trying to, prescribe some amount of suffering for everybody so that they become wiser.
No, I'm saying that a certain amount of suffering is inevitable, and once it happens to you, I'm not sure, you wouldn't choose it, but I'm not sure that once it happens, when you look back on it, you would say, it didn't actually allow me, in some ways, to deepen myself. I don't think that that's unfamiliar to your religious tradition. It certainly isn't to mine.
No, I was just about to clarify that. When I said I came with an advantage, I did not belong to any tradition as such. I did not identify with any tradition, nor they could put me into any tradition. This is all I did. I did not identify myself with anything. Just to tell you to what extent. I was around maybe 12 years of age. And in India, our mothers and parents generally, they're not given to every day profess, I love you, this and that. There is no verbal expression of love. They live for us. We know the question of whether they love us or not doesn't arise because their lives are about us. So, it never occurs whether they love us, don't love us, such things don't even exist. It is just their lives are dedicated to us, so we know they live for us. So, when I'm around 12 years of age, some tender moment and not exactly I love you, but in some way she expressed her affections towards me. I'm in that mode at that time, struggling, that I made sure that I don't belong anywhere, but at the same time I'm extremely involved with everything. So I just asked, it was a natural question for me. I asked her, suppose I was born in the next house, would you still feel this way about me? She just teared up. I didn't know what I said wrong. I thought I just asked a question. But somehow she just teared up and went away. And after 10 minutes she came back and she did something very strange. She came and touched my feet and she was all in tears. I didn't know what to say. I said, what did I do wrong? I just asked a question. But when I look back later on, when things changed within myself, I saw that she saw the point, she got it in such a profound way, because it is true that her affections are simply because I am her son, not as a life, not as just another being. If I was somebody else, she wouldn't feel the same way. When she realized that, she just kind of, an expansion is also cracking up, The eggshell has to crack for something new to come out. So, I just kept… See, if your intelligence is not aligned or associated or identified with anything, it is natural for human intelligence to seek relentlessly. Seeking relentlessly means without any purpose. See, the difference between… because you mentioned the word mysticism, the difference between mysticism and other ways of doing things is, everybody is trying to find something. A scientist is trying to find something. Somebody who's walking the street right now is trying to find something of their own needs. Every human being, every animal is trying to find something, maybe food, maybe shelter, maybe whatever. So if you have a torchlight, if you have a… what do you call this? Flashlight. Flashlight. If you have a flashlight, you have focused light, you're trying to find something, you only see this person or this person or this person. What mysticism means is, you blew your flashlight, it became a flare, you saw everything the way it is. And after that, you are never the same again. So it's like this. The nature of your existence, your experience and your perception is right now like this. You know that you're here right now because you can see, you can hear, you can smell, you can taste and you can touch. Suppose right now you just dozed off a little bit. You're still very alive and everything is going on here. But if you doze off a little bit, first thing is I will disappear, for sure. If you doze some more, everybody will disappear. If you go more, even you will disappear. This is the nature of human experience. Simply because the five sense organs have shut down. Suddenly the world is obliterated, even you're obliterated. Or in other words, your entire experience of life right now is limited to five sense organs. These sense organs, in the very nature of things, cannot see anything the way it is. They can only see everything in comparison. You know what is light only because you know darkness. You know what is sound only because you know silence. You know this only because of that. Because, see, right now if I touch this, my hand says this cup is cool. No, it is not so. It is because of the way my body temperature is, I'm thinking this is cool. If I lower my body temperature and touch this would be warm to me. So your entire perception is by comparison. Perception by comparison is good enough for survival process. It is not good enough for knowing the nature of life. It will help you to survive in the world. These five sense organs will help you to survive in the world, but it will not give you any sense about what this life is about. So if you have to know life the way it is, not the way it's projected to be. When I say not the way it is projected to be, see right now, let's say you're 6 feet tall. Now, in this society, you stand like a tall man, you walk like a tall man, you feel like a tall man, you are a tall man. You went to another society where everybody is 8 feet tall, suddenly you feel like a short man, stand like a short man, walk like one and feel like one, and you are one, isn't it? So what you know by comparison is only good enough for survival in a given situation. It is not good enough instruments to know life in its essence. So if you want to know something more, you have to enhance your perception. Right now, everything that you carry in your mind as information is all these comparisons and half bits and pieces. When I say bits and pieces, right now you can see this part of my hand. That means you cannot see this part of my hand. This is not just with my hand, even if you take a grain of sand. If you see one part, you cannot see the other part. This is the nature of human perception. When this question came up, when Arunabh asked this question some time ago, when I was a child, I stared and stared, trying to bend my perception around this because I can see only a part of it. How to see the other part? You won't believe this. By the time I was 11 years of age, I would walk in the jungle alone by myself for 3 to 4 days till my bread lasted, alone. And I learned to see in the dark absolutely as good as the animals. And not just walking, I caught dozens of snakes in the dark. They couldn't believe that I can see as good as them, but I could pick them up because it is just a question of enhancing your perception, and a human being is capable of this because on this planet, we have the most evolved neurological system. But because of cerebral activity, which is new, evolutionary scale, it is a new happening. Because of that, we are too enamored with our thought and emotion, we don't feel so many things. But actually, you have a better neurological system than any creature on this planet. Do you agree with me? But if you want to smell something out, you'll bring a dog. If you want something else, you look at something else, because they don't have this thought process. They're able to just be keen on how they perceive their senses. But human beings' ability to sense anything has gone down because they are completely going on with their own thought. Their own thought and emotion keeps them busy for their entire life. Their psychological reality has overshadowed their existential reality. This is the biggest problem. So when we talk about life, we are not talking about a psychological space. Today if you say life, if somebody says my life, you are supposed to think he's talking about his work, he's talking about his family, he's talking about his car, he's talking about his wealth. He's not talking about life. Life means this, what is throbbing inside and keeping this alive right now. This is life, isn't it? But when people say life, you are supposed to understand that he's not talking about life, he's actually talking about his job or wealth or money, a business or something. Because your idea of life has become purely survival. The idea of evolution or the possibility of this evolution is that a human being is capable of rising beyond their survival process. This is the reason why survival doesn't fulfill you. For every other creature, their survival requirements are taken care of, they're just fine, they have no other issue. Eating, sleeping, reproducing, their life is complete. Till these things happen to you, you think these are big things. But once they happen to you, they don't mean anything. You want something more to happen. If that something more happens, you want something more. If that something more happens, you want something more. If you look at this, what you want is not more, what you want is all. And if you want all, you should not go by extending physical boundaries, because physical can never be all, isn't it? You're desiring for the infinite, but you think you will get there by counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, you will only become endless counting. You will only become endless counting. Now, because we are looking at everything in comparison, in many ways we have fragmented the world, even our own species between men and women, and everything is divided because we are perceiving everything through sense perception, we don't have a life perception. So if you have to transcend the limitations of your senses, it is not that senses are bad, without that you wouldn't even know that you exist. Senses are fundamental, without it you cannot survive. But once you're human, survival is not good enough, something more needs to happen. For that something more, some striving is needed. You must look at this properly. Anything in your life which is about survival has come to you just naturally. See, suppose you got lost in a jungle as an infant, no contact with any human society. Something edible came in front of you, would you first try your ears, then your nostrils, then your eyes and accidentally find your mouth? No. Anything concerned with survival, you just know, isn't it? But you wouldn't know how to read, how to write, language, this, that, many other things you would not know. Because anything beyond survival will not come to you unless you strive for it. So, to turn inward, that means, why I'm saying turn inward is because these sense organs are essentially outward bound. But the experience of your life is happening from within you. Do you see me? Hello, all of you. Do you see me? Even if you're not listening, it's okay, but do you see me? Can you use one hand and point out where I am? You got it all wrong, you know, I'm a mystic. No, this light is falling upon me, reflecting, going through your lenses, inverted image in the retina, you know the entire story. So where do you see me? You see me within yourself. Where do you hear me? You hear me within yourself. Where have you seen the whole world? Within yourself. Everything that ever happened to you, light and darkness happens within you, pain and pleasure happens within you, joy and misery happens within you, agony and ecstasy happens within you. Just about anything that ever happened to you happened only within you. You have never experienced anything outside of you. Right now, if somebody touches your hand, you think you're experiencing their hand. No, you're only experiencing the sensations in your hand, isn't it? Now, your entire experience is within. When it is so, what happens within you, at least what happens within you, must happen the way you want it, isn't it? If you happen just the way you want it, would you keep yourself in the highest level of pleasantness or unpleasantness? Pleasantness. The choice for yourself is definitely pleasantness. What you want for your neighbor may be debatable, but what you want for yourself is very, very clear. But that one thing is not happening. Why I'm talking about pleasantness is, there is substantial medical and scientific evidence today that if you remain pleasant, without a moment of anger, anxiety, irritation, agitation, nothing, for 24 hours if you remain like this, they are saying your ability to use your intelligence can go up by 100% in 24 hours' time. So, pleasantness or joy or bliss is not a goal by itself, it is a fundamental necessity. In the sense, only if your experience of life is pleasant and if there is no fear of suffering, will you walk full stride. Otherwise, fear of suffering will always cripple you in so many ways. But today it's become like this, people, well, even spiritual leaders are going about talking, saying that peace of mind is the ultimate goal of life. Such people will only rest in peace. I was to speak at Tel Aviv, and I'm flying out of Atlanta in United States, and I'm to land there at 11 in the morning and speak at 6:30 in the evening. I end up landing there because of some flight delays at 6 in the evening. So I'm quickly changing in the airport, because in these 35 years I have not been late to a single event or appointment. I have managed this always. So I'm rushing and I'm famished, I'm super hungry, because I'm flying an American airline, there's nothing edible on that plane. But I don't have a moment to grab something, so I just went straight, and to my amazement I found I'm speaking at a fine restaurant. That doesn't happen at all to me. I thought, this is it. When I'm so hungry, this is the place to go. And people were already coming in, some people greeting me, and one man comes and says, "Shalom." I ask him, "What does it mean?" He says, "This is the highest way of greeting." I said, "Well, that's your opinion. What does it mean?" He said, "No, this is really the highest way of greeting." "All right, but what does the word mean?" I said, "It means peace." Then I say, why is peace the highest way of greeting unless you're born in Middle East? You come in South India, in the morning you come and say, "Peace." I'll say, "What's wrong with you?" I'm saying if you deprive yourself of something for long enough, suddenly, slowly it'll rise to heaven. If you've not eaten for 5 days, let us say your favorite god appeared, what will you ask? Food? Food will raise to heaven, everything that you don't have will raise to heaven. Being peaceful, it's not the ultimate goal of life, it is the most fundamental requirement. Today if you want to enjoy your dinner, if not ecstatic, at least you must be peaceful, isn't it? If you want to take a walk on the street and enjoy it, you must at least be peaceful. If you want to live with this handful of people in your family, you must at least be peaceful if not ecstatic, isn't it? If you want to enjoy the few things that you do in your life, the most fundamental thing, basic requirement is at least you're peaceful. But today people are saying, it is the ultimate goal of life, peace of mind. That's never going to happen, because they have not understood the simplest aspects of life. For example, your mind. Can we? The simplest aspect, it's like this. Because people are falling out of scriptures, this is the biggest problem. I was about to tell a joke, but Aruna was serious. This happened in Tennessee. You know, our center in United States, in Tennessee, it's a hardcore religious place. People said, "Sadhguru, you'll get killed in no time." But we are flourishing in Tennessee, doing very well. because they can't figure out who I am. I go out into this little town and I'm new there and I'm smiling at everybody and greeting people on the street. Small little town. One big man, over 6 feet tall, this wide, comes and stands just 6 inches away from me, looks down on me like this and says, "God loves us." I look at him and say, "The way you are, only God can love you." He has to love the mistakes he has made before he realizes. It takes time to get things. By then I'm gone, of course. So in Tennessee, every family has a huge Bible, not small, big ones, this big, leather bound. The bigger the family, the richer the family, the bigger the size of the Bible. Almost every home has 10 commandments carved on the stone. Most of it goes from South India, these carvings. It's good business, I watch this and say, okay, it's good for our economy, commandments or no commandments. So, this little boy, 8-year-old boy, went to school on East Coast and came back home on the vacation. So he was just flipping through this big book and a dry leaf fell out. The boy started screaming, "Mama, Mama, see what I found." His mother said, "What have you found, my son?" He said, "Just come and see what I found." So the mother came running to see what. Then he pointed at the leaf and said, "Adam's underwear." So a lot of people, the reason why something so simple and life-oriented has become complicated is because people are falling out of scriptures. What is it that makes you think 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 years ago, people were far more intelligent than you and me? Why is it so? Is it not such a retrograde step that you think people 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 years ago were much smarter than you and me? Is it so? Is it in line with the evolutionary process, I'm asking? No. But this is the thing we want to change. Today, with everything around us, we handle it scientifically using various technologies. It is equally important that you handle your inner nature scientifically, in a logically correct manner and with tools. Now your thing is, give me the tools. These are subjective in nature. If it was a screwdriver, I would have come with a bag full and given it to you. This is subjective. What is subjective means it is something within. Right now, everything of you is outward. That is, all your 5 senses are outward bound, isn't it? You cannot turn them inward. You can't roll your eyeballs inward and scan yourself. You can hear this, so much activity here, you cannot hear this. An ant crawls upon this hand, you can feel it. So much blood flowing, you cannot feel it. In the very nature of things, your sense organs are outward bound. If you want genuine tools of transformation, I would say, if you dedicate 28 to 30 hours of focused time, okay? 28 to 30 hours of focused time, we will give you tools to experience or touch a dimension which is inward. Inward is not of thought, inward is not contemplation. What you call as mind and body is very outward because body is something that you accumulated over a period of time from outside, isn't it? The soil that you walk upon is what is sitting here as the body. If you get it now from me, your life will transform. Otherwise, one day you will get it from the maggots. Yes What you call as my mind is also an accumulation of impressions that we have taken in. This is accumulation of food, this is accumulation of impressions. But between these two heaps of impressions and food, somewhere there is something else which makes all this happen. If that comes into your living experience, then you will not need any guidance from anybody. To get you there, I'm asking not 12 years of sadhana, I'm asking 30 hours of focused time. You must do that much to yourself. You deserve that.